It's your boy, Amreezy, and I'm back with another Road to Sorare Boss episode where we follow my journey in Sorare. Get comfortable, people. We're going to be talking about Sorare. Make a cup of tea, put the kettle on, pause the video. If you've not got a cup of tea right now, pause the video, go make a cup of tea. While the video is paused, if you want to like and subscribe to the channel, that helps me massively, helps a new channel grow. I would appreciate that. Make the cup of tea, unpause, and let's go. So we're going to talk about Sorare. We're going to be looking at how I did last weekend in Sorare, the new cards that I've been buying. Since last week, I bought a few cards. This week, I bought a few more cards. I'm basically shopping for those bargains now for next season. This is what the remainder of the European season is going to be for me now. It's basically just shopping, scouting players that I think, oh, they're a little bit cheap now. They look like they could be good next season, and then that's what I'm doing. So I'll show you the new cards I bought later on. I'll also show you the weekend coming up, what lineups I'm thinking of putting out for those lineups. Like I said, it's a bit of a reduced time for me. I can't put out as many lineups as before, but I can still put out one or two. So I'll show you those lineups later. We're having fun. Let's start off by looking at how I did last weekend in what was May the 3rd to the 7th. Right then, this is how I did last weekend in what was a weekend that I didn't really feel that optimistic about. I wasn't overly confident about my lineups. As I said in last week's video, that this sort of end of the season now, I'm not super confident on my lineups, mainly because I'm piecing together lineups for next season, ideally Premier League and Champion lineups for the Classic. So I've kind of got all of these odd pieces that I'm trying to fit together in sort of capped leagues, under 23 leagues. I'm trying to fit in lineups where I can right now. So it wasn't a great scoring week for me. Not one of the best weeks I've had. The best lineup I had was the cap 270, which, I mean, Callum Wilson has been an amazing signing for me. So amidst all of these average scores, there are players and cards that are really exciting me for the future. I think I've made some really good business getting Callum Wilson. I bought him for 75p a few weeks ago. He scored again this weekend, scored the weekend before, and it seems that Eddie Howe's Newcastle are now tweaked their formation. Now that Wilson's fit, they're playing two strikers now. It used to just be Isaac and then the two wingers. Now they're playing Wilson and Isaac up front, which is really good for me because Wilson's a great card and Isaac's a card that I'm looking at in the summer. I'm kind of waiting for his price to come down so I can have a Newcastle stack for next season. But for now, Wilson's a great placeholder, and yeah, he should be playing again this weekend. Should be starting again this weekend. So happy with Wilson. Burnley, on the other hand, so Newcastle were playing Burnley, and I had a card from each team. Josh Cullen, who I've been raving about for weeks now, he didn't have his best game because Burnley didn't have their best game. I do think that might now be it. Burnley probably might be relegated now. So my Josh Cullen card, if he stays with Burnley, he's a really good player for them. Should be getting me good scores in the Championship next season. So one of the teams I'm kind of looking at is Burnley, to add a few more Burnley players now, because if they go down, last year they smashed the Championship. So if they go down, I'm thinking maybe a couple of those Burnley cards that people are selling for really cheap prices now because they're kind of demoralized about Burnley. For me, thinking about next season, Burnley could be a good team in the Championship. So Josh Cullen, I'm really happy that I have the card, although he didn't really give me a great score this last weekend. Then a DNP, Fiorentina, Quarta, no idea why he didn't play. We're at the stage of the season now where, my research into why DNPs happen is kind of going down. A few months ago, if I had a DNP, it was kind of like, right, Google this player intensively, research why they had a DNP. Is it going to happen again? But I think it's just one of those games where they rested him. It was an easy fixture. They ended up losing. Hopefully they learn the lesson and play him next game and stop dropping him. So that was disappointing. Best there in Germany. That's Best there. Always delivering well. Always doing well. Jan-Nicholas Best there. One of my best cards. So happy with him. 94, the correct captaincy decision. So no complaints with him. Mr. Reliable. And then Bilal in goal. We never know what we're going to get from him. Could be a 80, could be a 40, could be a 10. A 45 for him, fairly average. So if Quarta had played and maybe Cullen got a few more points, we could have got a reward from this 270, but as a result, there's no massive alarm signs, but not overly happy with how they did. Second best team I had was my under 23s. My new card that I bought, João Felix, didn't do well. He came off the bench. He comes off the bench every game for Barcelona. So my tactic with him is to keep playing him in the hopes that one of these games he comes off the bench for Barcelona and scores. And I'm also building his XP for next season when I'm really hoping he gets a move to a team where he's the main guy. So he didn't deliver, unfortunately. My Chelsea boys did well. Listen, I'm a little bit excited as me. You know your boy. Your boy's a Chelsea fan. And seeing Chelsea's last two games is getting me dangerously excited. So as someone who's been building a Chelsea collection, it's good news for me. All I need is a few missing pieces in the summer, a goalkeeper and a striker. So I'm kind of waiting to see who Chelsea sign. If they don't sign anyone, I could go for Jackson. And if they don't sign another goalkeeper, I'll go for Petrovic. And then I'll have a good classic stack of Chelsea cards for next season. So great that Chelsea are putting a bit of form together. These cards I got when they were like really cheap. Chalobah, I got for like £1. And Conor Gallagher, I think I bought for £7. Both of these players are like worth double that now. So the Chelsea cards have been good investments for me. Omar Saleh, another strange DNP where he's the main RB Salzburg centre-back, didn't play. I did a brief bit of research. He's not injured. So I'm not really sure why. There is a lot of rumors about him leaving. I mean, there's always rumors with Soleil that he's going to leave every year, but this year seems really strong rumors. There's even figures of release clause values and teams that are definitely interested. So maybe he got dropped because his head's been turned. But either way, he's a good card for me. He'll either come back in the team and do really well, or he'll move, and then that's what I want. So he didn't play, which cost this team any chance of a reward. And then my goalkeeper is a bit like Bilal in the other league, or big or bad. 39 from him. Bad week for Paris. So that's how the under 23 league did. And then the other notable league is the Cap 240, where the Cap 240 and the Cap 220, I put DNP goalkeepers in and then just gambled on players that I could maybe all smash. Badi Shile did well, another Chelsea player doing well. Badi Shile, got him ages ago. He's finally coming good. These cards, Camille, Palinha, Zakaria didn't play as well. He got injured apparently, so terrible captaincy decision there. And with the 240, let's just talk a little bit about Thiago Silva, Chelsea legend, Champions League winner, big player for Chelsea, getting 105 points. I got him a few weeks ago, mainly just for, I said when I bought Thiago Silva a few weeks ago, I'm only just buying him to help with my Chelsea collection and the slight possibility that he leaves Chelsea next season and goes to a South American league where he can kind of coast for a year. That's happening. He's agreed to go back to Brazil, his old club, Fluminense. He's going to go back there. So I'm really hoping now with Thiago Silva that next year he just has an amazing season with them. Great scores, coasts in defense, a couple of easy passes here and there, and gives me some good scores. So I'm excited about owning Thiago Silva now for next season, and even this season, he's still putting a few good scores. So excited about that. So those are the best teams. The rest of the teams were just academy teams and teams that I didn't take too seriously. There's a midweek set of fixtures as well from May the 7th to the 10th. Again, nothing serious for me midweek, mainly because we're at the end of the Champions League and I've not got cards that good. So yeah, nothing midweek, no rewards last weekend. Let's take a look at what cards I've been buying now. This is what's exciting me most about Sorare at the moment, is I'm just monitoring the market and I'm looking for bargains. So last week, I think we got up to Luke Shaw. So I showed you some of the cards I've been buying. Premier League cards for next season and a couple of Mexican cards scattered around there. So Luke Shaw, Zuma, Callum Wilson, these were the last cards I bought. And then a few cards for Mexico and Champion League. Since then, I bought the Necaxa goalkeeper, Unsane. I got him in an auction for a price that was a lot cheaper than I'd seen. I was also gambling when I bought him. I bought him before Necaxa went out of the playoffs. I was kind of hoping Necaxa stayed in the playoffs. I think his price had come down so low because people were like, we don't even know if he's going to stay in the playoffs. But he's still got a few cup competitions. And I think for next season, I have like 3 Necaxa cards already from this season. So one thing I've learned about collection bonuses from making this Chelsea collection from last season, it's taken me ages and I'm having to buy cards from other managers when they're on sale. And I don't get as many sort of those little electrics. I get 10 electric bolts at first for having an old card. But if you get a new season card, you get 30 of those bolts. So it increases your collection percentage. And that's something that I've kind of realized. I'm still fairly new at the game. That's something I've realized massively, is that I can just get, say, 4 or 5 cards from an in-season collection. And that gives me the same bonus as I'm getting from my Chelsea bulk cards, where I've got like 10 or 15 cards, but they're not in season. So I topped up on my Necaxa collection because next season in the Mexican League, I kind of want Santos and Necaxa, and then I want to pepper them with the best players from the league and other teams. People like Brunetta, Quinones. There's a defender called Biovi who I really like. Those are the kind of cards I'm looking to pepper around my Necaxa and Santos collections. So going into next season in Mexico, I don't think I need any new collections. I've got enough of a base now. I bought this Necaxa goalkeeper. I bought the Necaxa backup goalkeeper for 48p just to help with my collection and also give me a goalkeeper to kind of put in the academy squads. And then I bought this striker from Monterrey. I didn't buy him. I traded him for cards that I didn't need. Brandon Vasquez it's his first season in Monterrey. I've been monitoring closely. He's been on the bench a lot, but started some games 50-50 really. He kind of starts half the games, on the bench half the games. But when he comes off the bench, can we look at his graph quickly? Let's look at his scores. Look, when he comes off the bench, he does give you an occasional 66, a 75, a 60. He does have these peaks, 78 followed by 76. So I'm hoping, he's still young, 25 years old. I'm hoping that these peaks are a sign of good things to come. It's his first season playing in Liga MX for the first time. I'm just hoping that Monterrey build on him. Monterrey is still in the playoffs. They could go all the way. So I'm kind of got a card that could still keep playing for the remainder of the Mexican season. But he's one for next season. I traded him. His value was like £2 or £3. So it wasn't like a very expensive card, but he's a striker. I've been struggling with strikers this season, especially in Liga MX. So, I mean, my only good striker in Liga MX was Harold Preciado. He then got suspended from football. So I was kind of gambling on all of these young kids in the league. Whereas next season, he's a guy who plays every week. If he doesn't play, he comes off the bench and does well. So him, and I think possibly I signed one more striker in the summer from Mexico. And that'll be me set for Liga MX. There was some talk in the comments, I think, last week. Thanks for the advice about Gignac at Tigres. If I should sign him, he's only about £3. However, he's about 38 years old now, and I'm worried with him that this might be his last season, or he could retire any second. So I'm kind of put off Gignac, even though he's the obvious guy in Liga MX to go for. I'm kind of looking at Quinones, Brunetta, and this guy Vasquez. They're kind of, I think, three established strikers for me. Then I've got a few young strikers who could break through next season, but they're kind of gambles. With this new structure of Sorare from August, I want a solid contender lineup, and that will be from Liga MX because I love my Mexican boys. So they're the new Mexican cards I bought. I bought a few Premier League cards as well. I bought Koulibaly for £2. He's to help with my Chelsea collection, but also I have been hearing talk that maybe the Saudi League will come on into Sorare in the future. And also Koulibaly plays for his national team. So I've kind of got him in the hopes that Saudi League comes into the Sorare universe in the future, maybe next year, or helps with my Chelsea bonus. So he's a kind of good card for that. Then I bought James Ward-Prowse for £3.50, one of my favorite Premier League players. And as I said last week, the stacks that I'm building for next season are Chelsea, West Ham, and Newcastle. So Ward-Prowse is a key West Ham player. I'm hoping West Ham, with their new manager next season, just take it on. I've got Zuma, I've got Ward-Prowse, I've got my eye on Bowen as the forward, and I've got my eye on Areola as the goalkeeper. That will give me a nice little West Ham stack. And yeah, I think Ward-Prowse's form has come down this season, but that's because West Ham's form has come down this season. I still think he's the best free kick taker in the Premier League. Sorry about that. On corners, he's amazing. So solid card, Ward-Prowse. And then Fabian Schär is another player who I got for £1.40, nice low price. He's injured at the moment, so that's why his price has come down. But I think for next season, him and Trippier are kind of key, and Botman, I suppose, as well. They're the three Newcastle defenders that you want. Trippier is getting a little bit old now. So I'm unsure about him, and he's been injured this season. Are those injuries going to creep into his game now? Will he move from Newcastle? You never know, but I think Fabian Schär should be a fairly solid pick still. So Schär for £1.40, injured now, but one for next season. So those are the cards I bought since last week. I'm going to take a little break now, sort out this cough, and then we're going to look at my lineups for the coming weekend. Stay tuned. Right then, let's talk the weekend coming up from May the 10th to the 14th. I've put on screen the key fixtures for my cards this weekend. Once again, it's a sort of what can I piece together rather than feeling confident in having a set amount of good lineups that I'm building towards. It's still a case of taking advantage of the capped leagues while they're still here and the under 23 league, which is something I'm kind of building. So a bit like last week, I'm not feeling massively confident in my lineups this week. I'm looking forward to just building the bonuses of these cards that I want to play next year. And then I've got a few punts in there that I think if West Ham have a good week, if Chelsea have another good week, I could be in a chance with a reward. So with that in mind, under 23 team, look how many, as a Chelsea fan, it's just beautiful to put out these lineups with four Chelsea shirts in the lineup, even though João Felix doesn't play for Chelsea anymore. I just like how it looks. 4 Chelsea shirts and my goalkeeper. So this is my under 23 lineup. My only goalkeeper. I've only got 2 goalkeepers playing this weekend. So one of them's going in the under 23, which is Obed. Then I'm going to surround him with Chelsea because they've got Nottingham Forest away. I'm kind of hoping that Nottingham Forest think they've survived now. They're going to be a little bit complacent. Maybe like, we've survived. We don't need to try as hard. And Chelsea are kind of really going for that last European spot. Let's see. With that in mind, Trevor Chalobah and Badi Shile, I'm going to be gambling. They're the 2 starting centre-backs. It could be Thiago Silva. It could be Disasi. There's a few options at defence. I think Colwill's still injured, so he shouldn't be back. But on form, I think it deserves to be Chalobah and Badi Shile. If that happens and Chelsea keep a clean sheet, that's what I'm gambling in my under-23 lineup. And then Conor Gallagher, with Enzo Fernandez out still, Conor Gallagher is the main creative player in that midfield centre. So hoping he has another good game. And then we've got João Felix. Maybe he comes off the bench for Barcelona. It is a big game. They are still battling to get I think they want to finish third. They want to keep their pride. They're not going to win the league, but they're still trying to stay in the Champions League places. So they're going to want to do well. That's all they've got to play for. So hoping he comes off the bench and does something. Maybe gets a rare start. Maybe he's been doing well in training. Who knows? So that's going to be my under-23 lineup. I should also say I have no other good strikers for the under-23 team. So João Felix it is until the end of the season. Then we gamble he moves. And then the other lineups I put out are 3 capped lineups. The only serious one is the cap 270 because that's the one without the DNP goalkeeper. That's Bilal in Turkey. He's got a tricky game away at Fenerbahce, but even when he has easy games, he loses sometimes. And when he has hard games, he does well. So rolling the dice on him. Then I'm going to be putting in my 2 new West Ham cards. I'm kind of experimenting with what it's going to be like next season with my West Ham stack. So Zuma, Ward-Prowse. They're playing Luton at home. Now, Luton are going to be really battling for some points because they want to survive. West Ham haven't been in good form. David Moyes is still there. He's going to be leaving the end of the summer. I'm just hoping, because it's a home game, maybe the players are playing for the next manager. Maybe they sort of want to impress the next manager. Because if you're the next manager, it's rumored to be Lopetegui. He's going to be watching all of the games now going, okay, he looks good. He needs to I need to get rid of him. So I think Zuma should be a defender that he builds his team around. And Ward-Prowse, I think, has been criminally underused by David Moyes. He should have been way more. I watched him. He didn't even start against Chelsea when I last saw him West Ham play. He was on the bench and he came on at half time. This is a guy that hopefully with a more cultural, no offense to David Moyes, I call him David Moyes to give him a bit of cultural reputation, to give him, a bit of kudos culturally. But let's be honest, he's David Moyes. And that's why West Ham are getting rid of him. They want a bit more of a cultural, exciting football. And if you're going to play that kind of football, Ward-Prowse is someone you've got to build that midfield centre around. Basically, the options for West Ham are, it's 3. Ward-Prowse, Edson Alvarez, I love him, Mexican boy, so I'm going to be rooting for him. And Thomas Souček. I think Souček's time has come and gone. You can't have Souček and Alvarez like they did at Chelsea. They're 2 holding players, 2 defensive players. You need one of them, and Ward-Prowse with that creativity, with his set-piece delivery, with his passing, with his vision. So I'm hoping that Moyes sees that. It's an easier game, so hopefully Ward-Prowse is back in the starting lineup. And if he is, and they can keep a clean sheet, I should get 2 good scores here. Then I'm going to be playing Callum Wilson and captaining him. I'm all out on Callum Wilson. He's my boy. It's Brighton at home. Newcastle have had a good few results with this formation of Wilson and Isaac. Hoping Wilson scores again. If he does, captaincy joy will be had. And then it's Mr. Reliable in Bundesliga, Jan-Niklas Best there. He's going to be playing there. So this is the lineup I'm most excited about this weekend, the Cap 270. Then I'm just throwing some punt lineups out there for the 220 and the 240. 220, I've got my new boy in Mexico. This is a really exciting game, by the way. If you want to watch a bit of Mexican football, there's a really exciting game on Sunday in the Mexican playoffs. Tigres are playing Monterrey. They are two of the big guns. The three best teams, Monterrey, America, Tigres, arguably, in my opinion. So, two of them are playing each other, Monterrey and Tigres. I'm going to be captaining Vasquez in my punt lineup just because he's one of my new boys. I'm building the XP for next season, but also he could play and could score against Tigres. I kind of fancy Monterrey for this. I do have a few Tigres cards as well, but kind of fancying Monterrey. They are home as well, so I'm going to be putting the captaincy on him. My boy Josh Cullen, he's going to be in there, although it's Spurs away. I'm not that optimistic about him. Palinia as well, playing Manchester City, not optimistic about him. So again, these guys are just punts. If they deliver, happy days. And then my 240 is another DNP goalkeeper. So that means all four of these guys have to smash to hit the lowest threshold. Andy Robertson, who knows? Villa have been a bit shaky. So Liverpool do have a sort of opportunity there, but not that overly convinced about Liverpool. Awaniwi is, I think, back from injury now. Let's take a quick look. Awaniwi was, back when I first started Sorare, earlier this year, Awaniwi was one of my cards who was really good. He was playing every week. Then he got injured. Then he came back and scored again. Then he got injured again. So he's finally come back from his latest injury. Let me just see. Yeah, he came back. I want to see how many minutes he played. Against Sheffield United, he played 1 minute. So he's after a whole bunch of DNPs, he's back from injury. Annoyingly, Chris Wood has been in good form for Forest, although there was that game last week where Chris Wood just missed so many chances. I don't know if you saw the compilations going around the socials, but Awaniwi is their best striker. If he can come back and Forest stay in the Premier League, he could be a good card for me next season, especially because I'm struggling with strikers. It would be nice to have him back in the first team, Forest up and running. But, they're playing Chelsea this week, so I don't want him to score anything this week. But if he does, I'll put him in this team as a punt. Daniel Munoz, the Crystal Palace defender. With Crystal Palace's form picking up, with them having a bit of excitement at the club now, I'm hoping that he's continues to get me these good scores. He's been picking up a couple of good scores. Look at this, an 84, an 87. And the reason why I bought him was because before Crystal Palace, we can see, look at his scores he was getting before he joined Crystal Palace. So he's a very attacking winger. I think Palace have even been playing him as a midfielder sometimes. So his scores at Palace have also been good. So I'm hoping he can continue this kind of form. And yeah, he's still fairly young. Prime of his career, maybe. And it should be a good card for next season. So happy with Daniel Munoz. And then Rashika at Besiktas. He did well last week. I'm just hoping he can put another good performance. He doesn't have the best fixture, but it's Besiktas. You never know what you're going to get. So hopefully he had a good week last week. He can put another good performance this week. So they are my serious lineups for the week. And then there's a few academy teams. Yeah, that's how I'm looking. I'm basically just preparing for next season and trying to get some last minute rewards if I can while the European seasons end. And then in the summer, we'll be trying to put out some Mexican lineups if we can. If not, waiting for next season. So that's how I'm lining up for the weekend, people. Let me know in the comments what you think. Any cards you think I should be buying. That's kind of what I'm doing at the moment now, scouting all of the leagues, seeing where I should be going for next season. Let me know if you've got any advice. All your support and comments and tips is appreciated. I'll see you next week. Peace.